Okay, I want to talk a little bit about looking and seeing, and a few other things that I think will help you to be very successful at drawing and specifically successful in this course. Looking at and really seeing what it is that you're drawing is one of the most important aspects of learning to draw realistically. This process is called observational drawing. Without the study of observational drawing, few drawings would create the illusion of three-dimensional reality and therefore lack in believability. Observational drawing is drawing what you see. It's as simple and as complicated as that. It can be a flower, a person, a still life, a landscape, whatever, it really doesn't matter. But it's drawing what you are seeing in front of you as realistically and as true to life as possible. So I want you to think about this. If I ask you to draw your own portrait, you've seen your portrait countless times, almost every day. You probably even saw yourself in the mirror today. If I were to tell you to do a drawing of yourself as believably as possible, solely from memory without looking at all at yourself, most people would not be able to do that. There might be a few things that seem like your image generally, but most likely it would not be very realistic. But with practice, time, and by looking really closely at what you're observing, your drawing could become a hyper-realistic image, like this image by Nigerian artist Arinze Stanley. And here he is doing his own self-portraits. This is not to say that artists cannot draw believably from their memory, but you should know that when they do, and they're successful at it, it's usually because they've had practice and training at observational study. They understand clearly how forms and objects turn in space. And this is a drawing from memory of Mary Nakabayashi, who is David Nakabayashi's ex-wife. And this is a portrait he did of her. That said, it's important to work on looking closely at the objects you're drawing. My recommendation is to spiritually merge with it. And what I mean by that, and I tell my students this all the time, is to try and have visual and tactile sense of the objects you use for your still lifes. You'll automatically start to draw them better if you know what they feel like and you've looked at them closely first before you ever put them into your actual still life. You want to try to have an understanding of your objects. You want to hold them and feel them and note the forms, angles, and curves and pay attention to the texture. You want to try and inspect how the object catches light and shadow as you turn it in space. Try to observe its surface reflections. If you're looking at something which is see-through, feel how thick that is. Look at the surface reflections inside and out. And also look at how things look as they go through it or behind it. Try to observe what each object looks like really carefully before you put it in your still life. Observation is key. Understanding is key. You want to really study your objects. Looking and seeing takes time. Learning to draw also takes time. You need to be prepared for each final drawing to take well over 4 to 6 hours or more. Our normal studio time in an on-ground course is 6 contact hours of just class time a week. Then students are still expected to put about the same amount of time outside of class. That's kind of considered the norm in art school. Truthfully, as an artist myself, I can tell you, it takes what it takes. I think my longest drawing was about 285 hours. No one would ever believe that if they saw it because it looks really cartoony. But it took me 285 hours. I actually logged my hours, and I never did it again because I realized that if I knew how many hours I was spending on it, I would just be depressed. So here's where I should mention work ethic. Obviously, drawing takes a lot of work. It's constant practice. And I know a lot of artists, and the one thing that makes an artist successful is work ethic. Talent really doesn't mean a whole lot. I mean, sure, it's helpful, but hard work and perseverance will do more for you than anything else. So, trust me, there are a lot of incredibly talented individuals who never got anywhere with their art because they lack a strong work ethic and the ability to work through all of life's crises. Because life doesn't sit still. Nothing worthwhile is ever easy. There's always things you have to do in life. You need to have time to yourself, quiet time. You need to be able to concentrate. Studies have shown that listening to music which is instrumental, no words in other words, while drawing will enhance your ability to see and focus, and is therefore preferential to music that has words, which breaks your concentration. Sometimes you start singing the song because you know it and it's one of your favorites. So you don't want to listen to music that has words. Quiet time is best. And if you need music, do music that's wordless. One of the hardest things to get over in drawing is the fear of failure, especially if you're a perfectionist, and I can tell you, I am. You need to allow mistakes to be made and correct those mistakes so that you can get better and do more. But you have to try. You absolutely must allow yourself the opportunity for growth. If you don't try, you'll never get there. Lastly, and this is really important, you really have to have the want to draw, to make drawing be a part of your life. Sketching constantly in a sketchbook, on paper, paying attention to things that you see that you wouldn't normally think were important. Really being focused on being here and now, present, where you are. It's a commitment, but you can do it. We all can.